welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry about the quality again. My front camera on this phone is kind of botched, but it's just easier for me to film and edit on this phone than on my other device. I don't really have a good phone, and like I said, I kind of need a new phone, but I don't really have any way of doing that right now. So anyway, it's just easier to film and edit on here. I think it's partly like my dirty screen protector. The other problem is just like the glass that broke on the phone. I think the camera's shut. I might be able to like clean it a bit, but anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, so I'm just gonna get straight into what I'm going to be talking about. So today I'm going to be starting a new series on my channel. Hopefully this will be a new series. Hopefully this will fly. Hopefully I'll like doing it and want to do it more and actually have time and dedication to want to put forward to this project. But I'm going to be doing a series of song reviews, and I'm going to call this series So You Don't Get K-Pop. And basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking popular K-pop songs that I deem reviewable, and basically I'm just going to review them, give my thoughts on the songs, but also give recommendations for outsiders, kind of explain, kind of take an analytical review approach and not just like gush over songs I like. You know, this is going to be like an actual like analytical approach as to like how I'm going into this, and basically this is hopefully going to be accessible for people who don't listen to K-pop, you know, so you kind of know which songs I'm recommending and all that. So without further ado, I have 10 songs up on the list today. Without further ado, I'm going to get straight into it with the first song, which is La Di Da by Everglow.
Me, baby, Everglow forever, let's go. Got no time for haters, 모두 다 집어치워버려. 라디다라디다다, 라디다디다, 라디다디다, 라디다디다. I can't even.
So, Everglow, they're a Korean girl group that's gotten some pretty big success online internationally. Their company, Yoohoo Entertainment, is definitely going for some of Blackpink's market share, obviously. Some of their songs have been very inspired by Blackpink and the structure of the songs. They were being released in a time where Blackpink wasn't really releasing any music, and their songs have blown up pretty big on YouTube, so they've definitely gotten some of that market share that their company really wants to push them in that direction. However, this single La Di Da, we're seeing Everglow go in a bit of a different direction. It's a very, you know, upbeat synth pop track. It's about 164 BPM, very upbeat for a pop track without any flourishes. It's not like an EDM song, it's not a rock song, nothing like that. It's just an incredibly fast-paced, upbeat pop track. It's got these very strong chords, the ascending melody going on, and you know, on the chorus, you've got the ascending melody, which is a really nice accent there. And again, the rap verses don't overpower the song. They're in the song, but you know, it doesn't like ruin the beat of the song. I've heard some songs where they'll try to shoehorn a rap verse in and the beat completely changes and it becomes this big, ugly trap beat. That's not the case here. The beat doesn't get affected by this. You've just got some extra percussion, and then it goes right back into the synth pop beat. None of that is affected by this song. The rapping doesn't affect the song. It keeps its momentum all the way through. The girls sound fantastic. They're singing about dealing with haters, but it feels, you know, light enough, and the song is has a great light mood. Yeah, like they really are brushing off haters, unlike Taylor Swift. And again, just the way the song sounds is absolutely fantastic. Again, the girls, they're pretty good for being, you know, a relatively new group. They've obviously trained and vocally, and they sound really good. And the thing I love is this like synthetic guitar kind of synth that goes. There's even kind of like a synth solo in this song. It's just genuinely great stuff, and I've been hearing a lot of like 80s throwbacks and a lot of synth pop this year, and I could not be happier. I genuinely think that stuff is awesome. So without further ado, I have to give this song a 10. Even though I don't think any song is perfect, I don't really know how I would improve this one, and I give this my highest recommendation. Alright, next up we have Love Killa by Monsta X. Monsta Monsta X are a somewhat popular Korean boy group from Starship Entertainment. I know they've gotten some popularity. They had songs like Hero that got kind of popular. There was an issue last year where one of the members was basically kicked out of the group. That was a whole scandal. I believe they released an English album. And they're definitely one of the more popular boy groups. Now, I'm definitely not as up on my boy groups. I don't tend to listen to boy group songs as much, or I listen to them, but I don't tend to like them or find them as interesting. And I don't really keep up with boy groups as much as girl groups. So, going to a new popular boy group song, it's kind of uncharted territory. Not entirely, but I somewhat know what to expect from these new types of songs, and this one is actually really solid. It still has that kind of dark, synth-heavy EDM bass type of vibe from these newer boy group songs. But something about the song, especially the music video, really reminds me of some of EXO's older songs, kind of like Monster and Overdose, I was thinking. So seeing that is really nice. And the vocals are really good here as well. I like hearing good vocals from boy groups. Again, this is a, slightly older, slightly around 3rd gen for K-pop groups, so probably like 2015-ish, whereas, the newer groups haven't really been there, haven't really gotten to the level vocally that I've noticed, and there's a lot of emphasis on choreography these days, and I liked the choreography and MV for this as well. And, again, like I said, modern boy group songs, 4 modern boy group songs that I don't always think are my cup of tea. I think this one is pretty good, and anything that reminds me of EXO is a good song, in my opinion. That's a strong 7 out of 10, and I really like the song. Next up, we have Photo Magic by Kachi. So, this one is a bit of an outlier in my talking today because this isn't really K-pop. It's kind of hard to explain what this is. So I've got to go back and talk about Kachi. Yeah, despite having a group name that sounds like somebody trying to cover up a sneeze and a fandom name that sounds like a Kellogg's cereal, we have Kachi, who received a bunch of attention online back in April when they decided to debut because they're based in England. The group is based in England, and yet they're being marketed as K-pop and singing Korean. Now, the issue with this is that, yes, there are non-Korean and even now non-Asian K-pop idols, but all of them go to Korea to train for years. They train for years under Korean companies and debut under Korean companies. That's why it's still called K-pop. It's based in Korea. But now we have this UK company trying to promote this girl group and trying to have them sing in Korean, which personally doesn't bother me because obviously Korean singers sing in English. So a group singing in Korean doesn't really bother me. But yeah, they debuted with a song, Your Turn, and it wasn't very good. The girls did not have polished vocals whatsoever. The production was cheap. The dancing was not even synchronized. But here we are now, about 6 months later, and they've returned with Photo Magic. And I definitely think this is an improvement on Your Turn. I saw their dancing improve just through a Blackpink dance cover. And speaking of Blackpink, let's not make this anything more than it is. It is a blatant rip of Blackpink's style. Now, whoever decided to produce this literally copy-pasted a formula for a Blackpink song. And that's not entirely hard to do. I mean, I've seen YouTubers create Blackpink beats in like an hour, so it's not that hard in terms of production-wise. But I can even figure out which member of Blackpink would be singing each part if it was that song. That's how formulaic it is. There's literally nothing unexpected here. The only unexpected thing is that the rapping is somewhat competent. Obviously not as good as Blackpink's rapping, but I mean, I was expecting it to be really bad. But yeah, there really isn't anything unexpected about Photo Magic. It's a pretty decent listen, but again, it's basically just a Blackpink clone. And this song basically doesn't do anything better or worse for the world by existing. It just kind of exists to me. So there's nothing really wrong with Photo Magic, but there's nothing that really captivates me either. Again, this is a safe move for a group that's just debuting and just getting on their feet, but I hope if they continue to make music in the future, we'll see something a little more original. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's fine. It's a pretty decent clone, but it's still a clone at that. Alright, next on the list is Aya by Mamamoo. Mamamoo. They're a very popular group in Korea. They are known for being a more elegant, older-oriented group. Their music is kind of aimed at an older audience than like the typical teenage audience. They got started in kind of retro jazz sounds. That was kind of their concept and their style. They're known for incredible vocals. And here they are with their new single, Aya, that's promoting their EP Travel. And they've definitely gone in a different direction here. Now, Mamamoo hasn't always done jazz, and they've definitely switched up their sound a bit. They got a lot more sexy and forceful, but still stayed in the jazz kind of style with Day Kakamoni in 2016, but then they released some songs like the laid-back EDM track Starry Night, the Latin-infused powerhouse that was egotistic, the fun retro swing song that was hip, and of course, the 1970s inspired ballad Windflower. And here we are with Aya, which is a pretty decent follow-up to all these songs. Now, I think this was more what I was looking for. I heard the first single they used to promote this EP, which was Zenga, and that song was incredibly boring to me. It's not bad, but it wasn't anything unexpected coming from Mamamoo. But here we are with Aya, and this group, here they go. The guitars and the sultry vibe, it is kind of reminding me of a slightly slower-paced version of Egotistic, except they're taking sounds and cultural inspiration from Indian music this time as opposed to Latin music. But for all intents and purposes, it's not all that different. Now, I don't think this is as powerful or as good as Egotistic, but the mystical vibe does suit Mamamoo, and it feels pretty good. It's not even the first Indian-style song I've heard this year from K-pop, as Pink Fantasy Shadow, their subunit Pink Fantasy Shadow of Pink Fantasy, released a song called Shadow Play earlier this year, which was really good, by the way. And now, again, this isn't my place to wade into discourse about whether or not the outfits or the MVs or using Indian music is disrespectful or going into cultural appropriation. It's not really my place to say that, but overall, they do know how to rock concepts, and the girls sound good as always. This isn't one of my favorite Mamamoo singles, but it's definitely better than some of their old songs, and it definitely grabbed my attention more than Ninga. It even has an interesting dance break. Sound-wise, it honestly reminds me more of the stuff Hwasa has been releasing lately. Hwasa's one of the members of Mamamoo, but she released a single earlier this year called Maria, which was a pretty good song that was Latin-inspired, and this one is Indian-inspired, like I said. Again, I find this interesting because I feel like Blackpink has gone for some of that style a bit on some of their songs on their album. Anyway, Aya is a nice track. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. So the next song, is Blackpink Lovesick Girls.
We are the lovesick girls. 네 멋대로 내 사랑을 끝낼 순 없어. We are the lovesick girls. 이 아픔 없이 난 아무 의미가 없어. But we were born to be alone. Yeah, we were born.
Blackpink came back recently in October with their first full-length album and their song Lovesick Girls. Now, if you want to know my thoughts on this album, I actually reviewed it on my channel, so there is an album review of Blackpink's album on my channel. But, again, what we have with Lovesick Girls is a pivot. The sound-wise and production-wise, it really reminds me of early 2010s pop songs. Not like that obnoxious electroclash stuff, but more straightforward pop stuff. Even like stuff Katy Perry was releasing, kind of, sound-wise. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Again, but they have nice vocals and harmonization on the chorus. The kind of vibes of the song and the, visuals, kind of going for that city pop aesthetic that As If It's Your Last went for. But this song is taking a bit more of a melancholic angle as they're more heartbroken, but there's still a hopeful edge to it. The girls sound great as always, and the song just has a really nice vibe to it. I really like the guitar parts on the opening part of the song and like the first verse sound really nice as well. It's kind of got this relaxed vibe, and yeah, I don't know why the chorus instrumental sounds like the Popcorn song, but I mean, what can you really do? But yeah, this is extremely pop-friendly and not really like Blackpink's trademark EDM bass-heavy sound, but I think it was good to have a break from that sound. Now, I know some people called this a sellout, but a lot of fans of the group were sick of them releasing the same type of song over and over again, so I think this was refreshing enough. I don't know why, I've actually seen the reception from the fandom be kind of lukewarm on this. Some people have liked it, but some people have said it wasn't their thing. But I did like Lovesick Girls. I think it's a really good comeback for Blackpink. It's not my favorite single from them, but it's still good, and deserves a solid 8 out of 10. Tonight by Black Swan.
Go me the ways. Take the tease away.
one because Black Swan is a group that recently debuted and is actually currently on hiatus because one of the members left due to a scandal. But the company's trying to deal with it. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Hopefully they'll be back soon because I'll just say that this song is good. But before I get into the song itself, little background on who Black Swan actually are. Well, they weren't always Black Swan. The thing is, Black Swan is actually an old group that debuted in 2011 as Rania. Now the problem with Rania is that they have had a shit ton of lineup changes and it's kind of hard to pin down who even is Rania because they've had so many lineup changes. None of the original members have been in the group in a long time. And that's just kind of a situation, and they rebranded a few times, but this year's rebrand decided to rebrand them as Black Swan, including Singhalese member Fatale, which is pretty interesting to see. Probably one of the first black K-pop idols, and again, this is pretty noteworthy for that reason. And what do we get with the song tonight? Well, I'm pleased to say that Rania debuting in 2011, even not having the original members, the label seems to know what to do with this sound, because this really reminds me of a lot of the old style songs I used to listen to, or the songs that used to be popular back then. It kind of reminds me of Miss A a little bit. I don't really know what to say it, or Brown Eyed Girls, or even 4 Minutes old stuff before they got all EDM. I don't really know how to say it. The song is Full Force Sexy. Another good comparison is 24 Hours by Sunmi, that song. But yeah, I'm definitely getting like Miss A vibes out of this. And the song is absolutely fantastic. Again, it sounds like it was transported straight from the early 2010s in terms of K-pop, but this is a nice throwback to hear. It's actually really solid. And again, I'm glad to see this group debuting, and I'm hoping that they'll continue to have activities in the future, even if the one member doesn't come back for scandal reasons. That's all I really have to say there. That's a solid 8 out of 10. It's a good song and a good experience. Hwa by CL. So, I don't think CL needs a lot of introduction if you are at all in the know about K-pop. She used to be in the group 21. You've probably heard of them. Now, the thing about CL, which has kind of impeded her solo career, is that basically she was stuck in a pretty bad contract for a while. After 21 disbanded, she didn't have as much creative control as she wanted. She was trying to release solos, and back in 2016, they tried to push her American debut, Lifted. It didn't go anywhere, and that was the last most people heard from CL. She did close at the 2018 Winter Olympics, and the thing about that was that she was just absolutely shamed for it. People didn't like her performance. They made fun of her weight for some reason. It was really not cool. However, CL's contract expired last November, and she released a debut single EP called In the Name of Love. Now, a lot of people probably aren't even aware that this EP exists, but it's really good. These are basically songs that she wrote but wasn't able to release at the time when she was still in her contract, and the album is a great piece of catharsis for her. Genuinely, In the Name of Love is a really good project, but here we have CL returning to her more fire-spitting and the stuff she became famous for with Hwa here. She did release another song, more of a ballad with 5 Star, but Hwa is the one that's being pushed as the big single and the big comeback for CL, I guess. Now, she's releasing some more songs soon and probably an album, and I'm glad to hear her getting back to her fire spitting. It's great to hear her rapping again. Now, I understand why she didn't on that other album, because that album was a catharsis album. A lot of songs were ballads or more chill or just, that kind of thing. But hearing her back and rapping and spitting fire as she was known for is great. And Hwa is basically everything I would expect and want out of a CL song after listening to The Baddest Female and Hello Bitches, and of course MTBD. Why does that song not get talked about? I know it was a B-side track on a 21 album, but God, that CL solo is fire, and y'all should go listen to it. Anyway, I don't have much else to say about Hwa. Yeah, it's kind of basic for a CL song comeback, but considering this is their first song in this style in years, it's great to hear it. The bass and production is super catchy as well. This one is just a good time. It's a 7 out of 10. Idea by Taemin.
Killing me softly.
Yeah.
So, if you guys don't know, Taemin is probably one of the most respected artists in K-pop, and a lot of the general public doesn't even know who he is, which makes me absolutely sad because he is extremely talented. Now, if you don't know who Taemin is, he's basically an R&B singer and world-renowned dancer who debuted with the group SHINee back in 2008 when he was 14 years old. Yeah, I said that. He was basically a dance prodigy. He didn't really have his singing skills polished at all. Again, he was 14, but he released some solo music back in 2014 and has been releasing some solo music in Korean and Japanese regions ever since. Now, again, he still worked with SHINee. He's also in the group Super M, if you've heard of them. It is an SM entertainment supergroup. Now, again, Taemin is pretty notorious for just being one of the best dancers in the industry, and that's obvious, but he's had years to work on his vocals as well, and I think his vocals are really great. I think silky is how I would describe him a lot of times. He can make absolutely beautiful ballads. However, here he's going for a more bombastic single, and that's totally what I want to hear. Now, in terms of Taemin's singles, I kind of know what to expect at this point. I mean, he's probably most famous for Move. I mean, that one was a big deal, and then Want and Criminal, those were all kind of synthwave songs, and they were all good, but by the time we got around to Criminal, which was his recent comeback, I kind of knew what to expect from Criminal. Like, the song didn't surprise me at all, it just kind of existed. And here we are with Idea, and oh boy, this is so good. I don't know if I'd say it's his best single, it's kind of hard for me to pin down if I'd say it's better than something like Move, but Idea is still fucking great. I love the dramatic synthesized strings on the chorus, really add for a theatrical vibe, which is something that I love about Taemin's songs. On some of his album tracks, you've got songs like Shadow or Black Rose, which is more of a trap song, but again, it just has this really dark vibe to it. I like that a lot. So now we are with Idea, and basically everything about this is just great. The dramatic vibes of the song feel super great, and Taemin sounds great as always. And there's actually a hidden vocal from Boa on this song. If you don't know who Boa is, she's one of the most respected female K-pop soloists and debuted when she was 13 back in like 2000. So yeah, pretty insane. Anyway, that's a strong 9 out of 10. It's fucking great. There's nothing else to really say about it. It's a Taemin song, and it's one of his best singles in a while. So yeah, I have nothing bad to say about this. More by KDA. And this is another one that's debatable whether or not it should be considered K-pop, but it's spicing up the discussion. So here we are. KDA is a virtual group composed of League of Legends characters. I think I don't really follow League of Legends, so I wouldn't know, but the main draw about KDA and what makes them related to K-pop is that some of the songs, this one included, have featured two members of a popular girl group called Idol, Soyeon and Miyeon, particularly Miyeon being the vocalist and Soyeon being the absolute fire rapper you're hearing on these songs. And now this song features some other artists, including Chinese artist Lexi Liu. I didn't know who she was, but my friend stans her. There's also Jaira Burns, Seraphine, and of course Madison Beer on this track. So yeah, there's definitely a lot. This is definitely a big collaboration track. Now, KDA's songs have been pretty fire. Honestly, they're these high energy EDM songs that are basically just braggadocious about how awesome these characters are, or whatever. It's that I would define the songs as OP, but they work really well. I mean, they had the first song Popstar, and I've been bumping to the baddest for like the last 2 months. So now that More came out, I was really pumped for this one. And again, it's really great. All of the girls have good chemistry. And the other reason I want to liken KDA to K-pop, not only because of the Idol connection, it's because they're being marketed as a K-pop group. I mean, their album is like a K-pop album. They're being marketed, they have a light stick now. Yeah, it's really stupid, but whatever. I don't really have anything else to say about it. All I can say is that new SM girl group that they're gonna debut, that has virtual members, I mean, it's weird, but like, what did you expect after this point? But yeah, the song itself, More, is probably my favorite project from KDA. The Baddest is very good as well, but More is just an absolute bop. The chorus is absolutely soaring and big and awesome. The pre-chorus is awesome. The multi-layered vocals are there. The rap parts are absolutely fire, especially Soyeon's part at the beginning. She's always great. She's a fantastic rapper. And there isn't too much else to say about More. It's pretty much what you'd expect from this type of song. It's a very great hype song. But yeah, that's exactly why I like it. And this is definitely a great listen. This is a strong 8 out of 10, maybe even a 9. It's really good. Go check it out. And last but not least, I Can't Stop Me by Twice. Here we are with Twice's recent single. And I don't actually have a lot to say about this. Now, Twice are probably one of the most popular Korean girl groups, probably the most popular girl group in Korea and Japan, whereas I would still consider Blackpink to be the most popular group internationally. But yeah, Twice are absolutely hugely popular, and most people at least know who they are. The thing about Twice is that, they kind of started out making very cutesy, innocent, kind of girly concepts. They kind of had schoolgirl concepts early on. But they slowly matured into making some more adult, slightly sexier music with songs like Fancy. And, you know, it's kind of exploring some different themes on songs like Likey, talking about Instagram likes, and Feel Special. And then they started talking about, they made a song called More and More earlier this year, which is a pretty breezy, sexy summer song. And now they've come back with I Can't Stop Me. And what can I say about this? It's a high-tempo, 80s synth-pop inspired song that sounds absolutely fantastic. Everything in the production is great. It's got a great driving melody. The girls sound fantastic on it. But here's the thing. We already talked about this song. I literally already talked about this song when I talked about La Di Da. And I'm pretty sure La Di Da does everything I Can't Stop Me does, but better, in my opinion. I do like how I Can't Stop Me is a bit more laid back and chill, I guess, if you prefer that. If La Di Da is feeling a bit too high energy for you, then you can always listen to I Can't Stop Me. But here we are with I Can't Stop Me, and it's definitely a solid track. I think it's really good and certainly listenable, but I don't really know what else to say. Yeah, between this and La Di Da, I'll take La Di Da anyway. But this is still a solid 8 out of 10. It's good stuff. So yeah, I had pretty good stuff for this first episode. My material was pretty good and pretty broad. I still have a ton of songs I could talk about, and more songs are getting released constantly. So if you guys have any specific songs you think would be good for me to talk about on this show, comment down below if you are in the know about K-pop. If you're not in the know about K-pop and you have any questions about what I talked about, comment that down below as well. And I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching my new series, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!